இன்றைக்கி வாழ்க்கெல்லாம் தெரியாதா? இந்த ஜூம் மினிட் கால் தெரியாதா? கிளாஸ் இருக்குன்னு தெரியுமா? யாருமே வரலையே. ஓ, வந்தாச்சு வந்தாச்சு வந்தாச்சு. ஓகே. My surgery is not in the list in the hospital. I don't know when they are going to do it. Then I may have to postpone it.
They missed it?
Miscommunication. The doctor office and.
We can tell closer to the start of June.
Yeah, my schedule and all get disturbed. All my talks are all scheduled, publicized, then cannot change. About 3 months, 4 months before they start publicizing.
Rescheduling, how soon can they?
I don't know, they are going to tell me. I knew it is not going to happen. Somehow I felt it.
So you were wishing it away from you?
I don't know. Something was telling me it is not happening. Okay. It's not something that is emergency or anything. Okay.
Still, yeah, it's not pleasant either.
It's
not pleasant either.
Yeah, when it comes, it's a pain. But as long as everything okay, chalta hai. Okay. Aunavyakhya prakatita parabrahma tattvam yuvanam varishishthande vasatrishighanaihi avrutam brahmanishtai charindram karagalita chinmudramanandamurtim swatma ramam mudidavadanam Dakshinamurthy Mide Patavitapi Samipe Bhumi Bhage Nishannam Sakala Munijananam Jnanadatara Marat Tribhuvana Gurumisham Dakshinamurthy Devam Janana Marana Dukkha Cheta Daksham Namami Chitram Badadaror Mule Vradha Shishya Guru Yuva Gurustu Maunam Vyakhyanam Shishyastu Chinna Samshaya Nitaye Sarva Vidyanam Vishaje Bhavaroginam Ve Sarvalokanam Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha-jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्भूतं यथा यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये यस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः माया कल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतम् वीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमः योगी वयस्वेच्छया
द्यष्टकम् नान्यत् किञ्चन विद्यते विमृशताम् यस्मात् परस्माद् विभोः तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये सर्वात्मत्वमिति स्फुटीकृतमिदं यस्मादमुष्मिंस्तवे तेनास्य श्रवणात् तदर्थमननात् ध्यानात् च सङ्कीर्तनात् सर्वात्मत्वमहाविभूतिसहितं स्यादीश्वरत्वं स्वतः सिद्ध्येतत् पुनरष्टधा परिणतं च ऐश्वर्यमव्याहतम्
So we have seen 4 verses, right? So in the 4th verse, that's Shankaracharya. Why? There's no sound. I don't hear. Little more sound. Let volume. So Shankaracharya points out that the Atma Tattvam is very much available as the very first person singular I. So Atma, the pure existence, has to be recognized only in one way, that is, I, the consciousness principle, and this I can be compared to the sunlight or the candlelight within a pot. Just as the candlelight illumines the external dark room by means of 5 apertures, or just as the sunlight illumines the dark room by means of a mirror, combining both examples, I, the light of consciousness, illumine the world through the mind and 5 sense organs. The mind is comparable to the mirror in the first example, and the sense organs are compared to the apertures in the second example. Thus, I alone, through the mind and sense organs, illumine the external world, and this I continue to be evident all the time. This I continue to be evident all the time. Now, whereas in the deep sleep state, it is not that consciousness dies out, but what happened is the mind and the sense organ go to relaxation or rest. We will see that in the 6th verse. And when the apertures are closed in the pot, the candle will continue to burn, but candle will not serve as an illuminator of the external world. Candle is not an illuminator at that time, not because candle has no light, but because the medium, the apertures are closed. Similarly, when the mirror is removed, the sun stops to be illuminating the dark room. Not because sun has lost the light, but because the medium, the mirror, has folded. That's why Tulsidaji said, Sri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nija Mana Mukura Suthari. Mana Mukura. Mind is compared there with mirror. Here also. When will the illuminator status come? Only when I illumine something. Therefore, Triputi Rahita Prakasha Rupena Aham Asmi. Triputi Rahita Prakasha Rupena Aham Asmi means, thus I am self-evident light of consciousness who take the role of an illuminator of the external world. And Shankaracharya says, in every illumination that I do in the waking state, it reveals the existence of two things. One is the object that is illumined, and I as the illuminator. Two things are there. Janami. So that is why he conveys in the third line, Janamiti tameva bhandam anubhatyetas samastam jagate. Janami. It is a Sanskrit verb. A verb indicates a process. And the process of cognition, Janami, means what? Know or cognize. The process of cognition reveals two things simultaneously. One is I, the knower, and the other that is known. Now you got this point. This is what we have to meditate. What is that? Now when you are meditating upon, let us say, your own mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. Now the Om Namah Shivaya is the thought appearing in the mind. Om Namah Shivaya. Now, what is that indicate? You are aware of the thought. Now, when the thought rises in our mind, there are two things are happening. One is the thought rising in the mind. Another is you are aware of the thought. So, awareness and the thought, both are happening simultaneously. Now, what is to be done? The thought is something that arrives and departs. Thought is not permanent. Om Namah Shivaya, then Om Namah Shivaya. But what is permanent? The awareness. So what is permanent? That is awareness. That is Satyam. And what is impermanent is Mithya. And this understanding has to dawn in us. Saying Mithya is not enough, but we have to realize it is Mithya. Mithya doesn't mean it is not useful, okay? Actually, Mithya only useful. Satyam is not useful. Mithya alone is useful. So it is useful, but utility doesn't mean it is real. So every cognition reveals the cognizer, I, which does not require the process of cognition, which means which is self-evident, and the object which is revealed because of the process of cognition. Now, the object that is revealed through the senses, there is a process. Isn't it? What is the process? Awareness has to be there. Then that awareness has to reflect in the mind. The mind has to go through the senses, and then the object has to come through the senses into the mind, and mind assume the form of the object. Only then the perception takes place. All these processes are there. It is happening very fast. But unless that object has become part of mind, you will not recognize it also. Now the words I am speaking, the words you will absorb, understand only when your mind is there. Mind is not there, then what happens? You will hear, but you won't listen. If I have to give you an example, during 1 hour, if somebody asks, did Swamiji talk continuously? You would be able to say yes. From 11 to 12:30. That means through the process of cognition, you are proving the continuous existence of my talk for 1.5 hours. And when you are cognizing or experiencing my talk, you did not do anything specifically to find out whether I am continuously sitting in the class or not. You think in between whether I am continuing the class or not, you did not require any attention, any process, any cognition to reveal your existence in the class. All the process of cognition was utilized for proving or for experiencing my talk. And suppose I ask, how do you know you existed 1 hour in the class? What effort do you put? At the end of the class, suppose I ask, were you present for 1.5 hours in the class? You do not say, wait, do we make an inference? Since I have heard 1 hour's talk, I must have existed. Do we do any inference here? No thinking, no reference, no planning, no effort. You effortlessly say, casually say, I was. This proves that every cognition reveals the cognized object through the process, and every cognition reveals the cognizer without requiring a process. And since cognizer is revealed without a process, cognizer is called self-evident, bhanam. And since cognized object is proved only through cognition, it is called dependently evident anubhanam. Bhanam, anubhanam. Thus, in every moment, bhanam is there, anubhanam is there. Bhanam belongs to I, anubhanam belongs to the object. The anubhanam varies, but bhanam I is continuously the same. And therefore, Shankaracharya says, janami. In this verb also, jana refers to the revelation of the object. The me, the Sanskrit me, revealed the English me. So, Sanskrit has come from English, right? They will say that also. When you say janami, me is definite and fixed. Jana reveals an object. That's janamiti tameva bhandam. In every janami statement, that Atma alone reveals itself. And sarvam tam anubhati. Not sarvam, but etat samastam jagat. Sarvam means that Upanishadic mantra, it comes, this verse is Nadatra Suryo Bhadini Chandra Tarakam Nema Vidyut Kathopanishad and Mundagopanishad it comes. Tatra Suryo Bhadini Chandra Tarakam Nema Vidyudo Bhanti Kutoya Magnihi Tameva Bhantam Anubhati Sarvam. Shankaracharya uses the same word Bhanam and Anubhati. Etas Samastam Jagata, the whole universe. There is a book called Swayam Prakasha Vichara. There this topic is very well analyzed. Suppose for the sake of argument, object is revealed because of the subject. Suppose the subject itself for its revelation requires another subject, you assume. Object is revealed by subject, and suppose the subject requires another illuminator to reveal, you require again what? Another subject 2 to illumine the subject 1. And then the question will come, who will reveal subject 2? And you will require subject 3, 4th, etc. You will get into infinite regress problem. That problem will not come only if there is reflexive awareness. In neurological language, psychological language, they say this is a unique phenomenon of reflective awareness. Reflexive awareness means what? Simultaneously, I am aware of you as well as myself as the knower subject. So this capacity to reflexive awareness is called self-evidence. Science is still struggling to explain the phenomenon of reflexive awareness. They find it very, very difficult to logically explain. And it can be explained only under one condition, that is, we should take consciousness as an entity by itself. And therefore, etas samastam jagat anubhati. Etas samastam jagat means this whole universe, and tasmai, to that self-evident Atma, Sri Dakshinamurthy, which Atma alone become Dakshinamurthy, and Sri Gurumurtaye, who is none other than Gurumurthy, idam namaha. Idam namaha, my namaskaram. And the interesting thing is, Atma is one and the same everywhere. And depending upon the medium, the status of Atma changes. Just like electricity is one entity, depending upon the medium through which expresses, it will be called fan, it will be called light, it will be called radio. Manifestations vary depending upon the mind, sense organ, medium. In fact, Atma is the same in an ant also, but it has got an inferior status, not because of the inferiority of the consciousness, but inferiority of the medium. That Atma is the superior Dakshinamurthy Atma, Atma is an inferior samsari also, not by itself, but aupatika bhedaha. Aupatika bhedaha eva. Continuing. Now this much we saw last time. Now continuing. Deham pranamapindriyanyapi chalam buddhim cha shunyam viduho tribalantha jadopamastvahamiti branda vrishambadinaha maya shakti vilasa kalpidamaham vyamoha samharine tasmai Shri Guru Murtaye Namayidam Shri Dakshinamurthaye. In the first four verses, Shankaracharya has summarized the whole Vedanta. In fact, Vedanta in nutshell, if you want, these four verses are enough. This alone is expanded in Prasthanatrayi. Prasthanatrayi means you know, right? All the Brahma Sutra, all the Upanishad, all Gita, everywhere, this alone is expanded. And what is the summary of the entire Vedanta? I am of the nature of Sat and Chit. I am the Sat is revealed in third verse. I am the Chit is revealed in the fourth verse. If you take 3 and 4 together, I am Satchit Atma, formless existence. Formless existence consciousness. I think I explained Sat, right? Very clear. And in the second verse, it is pointed out that the entire material universe, right from my own body-mind complex up to the farthest galaxy, rises out of me. Me here means the existence, consciousness, and therefore, like space, I am all-pervading. So in me, the formless, all-pervading consciousness existence, the entire material universe rises, the entire matter rises. Saddarshanam, there is a verse, Forgot the verse. Ramana Maharshi says, your ego get up, the whole world get up. And if your ego go to sleep, everything go to sleep. So this is diagonally opposite to science. For science, matter is fundamental. Consciousness evolves after many centuries or millennia after the Big Bang. Life comes, right? After so many millions of years, life comes. Life means consciousness come. So in science, matter is fundamental. Consciousness is an epiphenomenal, accidental, temporary, located phenomenon because of certain conditional factors. Whereas Vedanta has the diagonally opposite view. Consciousness, existence, I is fundamental. That is why science is called materialism, which means matter pradhanam. Vedanta is called spirituality because it is consciousness pradhanam. And in me the consciousness, I, as I obtain in sleep, and later wake up. After pralayam, in which I alone was there, the matter phenomenon rises. And what is the nature of the universe? You have to go back to the first verse. If you add up 3 and 4, what will you get? That I am formless, all pervading existence consciousness. Then go back to the second verse. Mayyeva sakalam jatam. The formless, all-pervading, existent consciousness alone, the entire material universe, including time and space, even space comes after the Big Bang. When the time concept comes after the Big Bang, I was there before the Big Bang itself. This is the essence we get from the second verse. So what is the Big Bang theory? They say space came after Big Bang, right? But then how can the bang happen without space? It's like a Bible story, First day is created, second day is created. How did they calculate without sun? The seventh day they created sun.
How did God know to create if it was dark for 6 days? Because he's an atheist, but boy.
He'll be, you are a Satan, Shaitan. Then go back to the crucial first verse which says that this universe is like a mirror reflection. And the dream universe, which means matter, is of a lower order of reality. And I am of a higher order. So out of me, the higher order of reality, the lower order, matter, arises and falls, which phenomenon eternally continues. Just as I sleep, the world is folded. I wake up, the world arises. Tonight I go to sleep, the world folds, and again I wake up. Unmesha nimishotpanna vipanna bhuvanavali. And what is the advantage of knowing this? After taking so much trouble, even though this phenomenon will eternally continue, I can choose to allow and enjoy this phenomenon because of one knowledge that the lower order of reality cannot affect I, the higher order of reality. Now in Bhagavatam, Bhagavan's Bala Leela, you must have heard the story of an old lady selling fruits. And Bhagavan as Balakrishna, he heard, then he wanted to bless her. So he came out, please give me fruit. He showed his little hands. And she said, okay, since you are taking fruit, you have to give me something in return. So, then Krishna says, how can that be, Maya? My Maya gives fruit, I don't give her anything. Maya gives butter, chas, everything she gives, she doesn't ask me anything. How can you ask? Now she asks. She didn't know what to say. She kept quiet. But then Bhagavan thought that, okay, since you want something, I'll give you. I'll go and ask Maya. So Maya, he went and asked, Maya, I want some fruit from fruit vendor, but she is asking something. And she said, yes, you should give. That is the custom. What I should give? He asked. You should give something that is suitable for what you are taking. You think you are a smart boy. So he goes and takes some rice in his hand, and by the time he reached there, it is dropped also. Then he put it in the empty basket. And this, what you call, fruit vendor, whatever she had in her basket, he took it. And Bhagavan brought another basket also to take it. He said, this is for thou, this is for my friend, and this is for those ladies who come here, gopis. Like this, each one he put name. Then he lifted that and brought. And this lady lifted it and she said, okay, then do one thing. As a mulya, equivalent to the fruit, at least you should come and sit on my lap. This much you should do. He said, I will sit in your lap and call you Maya also. But he said, when I sit on my lap of my mother, Maya, she will fondle me. So she also did that. And he was so happy. And she got up and lifted the basket. Now it is very light. And started walking. She could not walk before, she had a limping. That also she, after some time she walked, she was feeling good. I don't need the stick now. She threw away the stick. Then she said, I can see better now. Because she was an old lady, she was not able to see. I can see better now. Oh, then she walked. Then afterwards she felt, hey, this basket is very heavy now. Why it is so heavy? Then she looked. It was all filled with gold and ornaments, jewelries. Then she said, Bhagavan, I never wanted this. Then what she did was, she went and threw it in the river. Then she sat under a tree. Bhagavan, until I realize you, I will not get up from here. And Bhagavan said, Tadastu. That is the point. See, those gold and my point was telling this, that gold and ornaments, jewelry, etc., it is the lower. That lower nature, lower prakriti, we should not give too much importance. That state come, Bhagavan's blessings will be there. That's the idea. All the stories have got a lot of meaning, In fact, even these 4 verses, Shankaracharya contends us elsewhere, which is called Advaita Panchakam. In one verse, the first verse, he further condenses these 4 verses. So, main Dakshinamurthy Stotram is over. So, you can relax a little bit. Now, Shankaracharya mourns and grieves, feeling that the majority people are not able to gain this knowledge and enjoy this life, and therefore he grieves and cries. The human beings can enjoy this wisdom, but many are not able to. And because of the lack of this wisdom, it has led to many misconceptions. The misconceptions are technically called adhyasaha. In English, we call an erroneous perception. And the problem is, ignorance is bliss, but errors are samsara. If we can manage to confine to ignorance as we do in sleep what we have managed, we confine to ignorance without any erroneous perception, and therefore sleep is happiness. But when ignorance is polluted by the error, it becomes a problem. And the error is twofold. One is the error of a non-thinking person, a layman, and the other is the error of the so-called thinker who make thoughtful errors. I must have given you an example. In the village, the door is very low. 2 types of people hit the head on the top of the door frame. One man does not see at all and just gate crashes, hit the head and suffer. And there is another person who is told it is low, and therefore extra careful. He bends his head here itself, and correctly when he reaches the door, he gets up and gets a bump. This is called thoughtful mistake. So, similarly in Vedanta also there are 2. Darshanikaha, philosophers, the non-Vedantic philosophers are making thoughtful errors. Sankhya, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Purvamimamsaka. And after seeing the unfortunate condition of the majority of human beings, he looks at himself and also those small group who have escaped from the error, and he is grateful to the Lord. O Lord, I am saved. And to that Dakshinamurthy, because of whose grace I got out of all the possible philosophical pitfalls, to that Dakshinamurthy I offer namaskara. This is the essence of this verse. Now, what are the prominent errors Shankaracharya first enumerate in the first line? Viduhu, many people misunderstand or conclude Atma to be Aham Atma to be number 1. They think that it is Atma to be second. Deham. Deham means this is the biggest majority. I am the body. And therefore, the biography of the body is autobiography. Any person who writes the autobiography begins with the date of birth, the place of birth, the parentage, which clearly indicates he believes strongly that the body is himself. And this is called Dehatmavada. Dehatmavada, and this view is held by the majority of lay illiterate people, thoughtless. This is thoughtless mistake. And there are people who are called philosophers who have thoughtfully committed the mistake also. Who are they? In our tradition they are called Charvakaha, Lokayatikas, Charvakaha or Lokayatikas. And many of the modern scientists also belong to that group, because they believe there is nothing in an individual other than the body. Science does not accept anything surviving after the death of the body. For them, death is the total destruction of the individual. They do not believe in a mind which can survive. Because for a scientist, mind is nothing but functioning of brain. Functioning brain, emotions are neurological disturbances. Knowledge is again a change in alpha beta waves. They explain sleep certain in terms of EEG. EEG. Whatever be the phenomenon, therefore, they do not believe in the mind. They do not believe in vasanas. When they do not believe in the mind, how will they believe in vasanas? No questions. They do not believe in sukshma shariram at all. Karana shariram, etc. And where is the question of accepting karana shariram? They will ask you the question, scientifically prove the survival of the mind. Atma, we will see later, scientifically prove the survival of the mind, and you should be knowing that psychology is not accepted as a science. It is accepted only as pseudo-science, because physics as a separate entity different from brain is not accepted. And even if they accept, they will go by the neurology and biochemistry, and therefore mood disorder, why it came, some metal is less, and if you consume that, it will be all right. Again, all emotion disorders are explained in terms of the visible physical body. The end of the body is the end of the individual. What about past janma? It is a bluff. What is future janma? It is a bigger bluff. Invented by the Brahmins who wanted dakshina through srartham. For getting a srartha dakshina, the Brahmin invented punarjanma. It is a conspiracy of Vedic Brahminism. Read Hindu paper, you will know it. One man writes so vehemently about Vedic Brahminism. Anyway, I don't want to get into that now. Then pranam. This is Dehatmavadi. Now pranam, there are some other people, another group of Charvakas. They say anatomy is not individual, but the physiology is the individual. Physiology, the function of the body, so pranam aham iti viduhu, deham iti viduhu. Some say body is I, the Atma. Some others say prana is I, the Atma. Then the next improved person, Indriyani, sense organs are Atma. All these come under Charvaka Matam. Okay. Deham, Pranam, Indriyani, all of them. Groups of Charvaka, otherwise also called Lokayata Matam or Lokayatika Matam. Okay. Materialistic people, Charvakas. Then the next one is Chalam Buddhim. Chalam Buddhim. Buddhi means consciousness in this context, Vijnanam. So there are some people called Buddhist, Bauddhaha. Among the Buddhists themselves there are 4 groups. One group is called Yogachara Bauddhaha. Yogachara Buddhism it is called. They say consciousness is Atma, very close to Vedanta. And that is, many people instead of saying Buddhism is close to Vedanta, they say Vedanta is close to Buddhism. But their problem is they say consciousness is Atma, but Chalam Buddhim. That consciousness is subject to fluctuation. Fluctuating, fleeting flow of consciousness, like the waterfall. You see the water, but the next second, the waterfall you see is not the same waterfall. Can you take bath in the same river the second day? It has been replaced by another and another. So you have a seeming continuous waterfall, but there is no continuous waterfall, and continuous existence is only a changing entity, or like a flame, or like a river. Similarly, consciousness constantly comes and goes, and that flowing consciousness is the Atma in the philosophy of Yogachara Buddhist. And there is the next Buddhist, Shunyam Aham Iti Viduhu. And he argued that if consciousness is subject to arrival and departure, between the 2 consciousnesses, what should be there? There should be emptiness alone. And therefore, Shunyam, blankness, emptiness is the ultimate truth in which emptiness, the consciousness comes and goes. Because arriving and departing consciousness cannot be permanent. What is the only permanent thing? Vacuum, Shunyam. They are called Shunyavada Buddhism. Previous one is Yogachara, last one is Shunyam. And not only they have committed the mistake, they are Bhrantaha, having erroneous perception. Brahmavadaha, Adhyasavadaha. But Mrishamvadinaha, we cannot hope to correct them, Mrishamvadina, because they are sure. Very sure about. They are very, very sure that they are correct and they alone are correct. As the Upanishad says, Avidyayam antare vartamanaha swayam dhiraha panditam manyamanaha. Kadhopanishad talks about it. Avidyayam antare vartamanaha. They are inside avidya. Plus, what is that thing? Swayam dhiraha panditam manyamana. We are wise. Panditam manyamanaha. They consider that they are the wisest people. They vehemently argue. How can you teach a person who wants to argue? That's why Lord Krishna in Gita, Arjuna sometimes asks questions. Chanchalam hi Magna Krishna Pramadi Avalavadridam Tasyaham Manya Nigraham Manye Vayoriva Sudushkaram. So at that time Bhagavan knew exactly Arjuna is trying to do. Whatever he spoke in 6th chapter, he want to pull the carpet under his feet. So what Bhagavan said, he disarmed him. Asamse Mahabhavo. Mano Durnigraham Chalam. Yeah, you are right. That's way. But Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha. So Abhyasa and Vairagya. Now what is Abhyasa? Our Gurudev used to give an example, A young man who was here, got a job, he came for university education, he got his PhD and all that, then he got a job. Then he applied for his green card, he got a green card. Then he went to India and got married. And he could not get visa for her immediately, so he came here and applied for her visa. And she got visa, and the day she was arriving, was so excited. And that day it so happened that it was neighbors, he has a neighbor who's an American. And he invited him along with his wife to the party. At that time, and he didn't know, because she's from a village, she doesn't know the fashion and all that. So when she arrived in her salwar kameez. And, hey, you have to go to the party today. So you cannot wear like this, you have to wear Western dress. Now what are the Western dress? He doesn't know, she doesn't know. She didn't know also, but he said, no, I have bought it, clothes. The clothes were okay, but the shoe was a problem. It was half size less. It's a high heel shoe. She never wore it before. And when she wore, you have to wear this. And she practiced little bit in that home. And then she could not balance, walking. And going to the house, somehow she managed, and then going to the house, held on to his hand, because balancing is a problem. She cannot walk. And after reaching there, she is thinking, how can I get out of this shoe? It is painful. And in India we remove the shoe outside. But here at this people party, you can wear it everywhere. So she was caught. Then this man brought a champagne bottle also. And as a gift, he gave it to him. And he covered it with a white cloth and then put it in the ice box. Then after all the guests came, they all arrived and they were sitting there, and finally opened the champagne bottle. Champagne bottle opening also very ritualistic. So then all those, the glasses were doing Shishasanam in the bar. They are all taken in a tray and slowly pouring it. You cannot pour just like that. Champagne you have to pour slowly. Then in a tray it comes. And everybody is take. You cannot sip it immediately. And she was also given this. And she asked Hindi mein, kya hai? Pucho mat, and husband is, पूछो मत, वो जरा आंख बंद करके चुपचाप पीना है. She didn't know what it was. And this man came, the host came and said, I had to, what he called, toast. The toast, how do you say that? Yeah.
Propose a toast.
Eh?
Propose a toast.
Propose a toast, yes, propose a toast. He said, I'm very happy that we are celebrating the 17th wedding anniversary of my only wife. And for her good health and continue to make me happy, and I will make her happy. We drink for her health. Now everybody sipped. And she is asking what to do. Take a sip. ये तो जरा बास अच्छा नहीं है इसकी. It was hitting her nostrils. You see. नहीं, चुपचाप पियो, इज्जत की बात है. So she closed her eyes, took one sip, and she could not. It was so bitter and this terrible taste. That taste, she never had it before. And she didn't know what to do, whether she should swallow it or spit it. She was looking for a place to spit. That time he said, no, no, no. Just gulp it, you know. दवा सोच के पियो. And somehow she gulped it. Then she was feeling thirsty, there is nothing else to drink. So she took the second sip also. After second sip she was okay. Then she started, the whole thing she finished. Now she lived here in this country 20 years. And when she invites somebody to her party, she knows what exactly the brand of the champagne, what is the name, which one is the best, which one is not good, how much it cost. Everything she knows. How? Abhyasena tu kaunteya. Abhyasa yoga yuktena. So that is what it is. Now, Brisham Vadinaha, Bhagavan said, this people cup is full, and therefore Brisham, not only ordinary Vadinaha, Brisham Vadinaha, vehemently argue. And a wise person will not open the mouth, just as Krishna did not open the mouth throughout the first chapter of the Gita. Because Arjuna was giving a lecture to Krishna. Kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharma sanadanaha. He was teaching Dharma Shastra to Krishna. What can poor Krishna do? He observed silence. So therefore you are helpless, and even omnipotent God is helpless with regard to these people. And why it happened? Because the instrument which has to get the knowledge has got varieties of deficiencies. The instrument which has to get knowledge has varieties of deficiencies because of intellectual deficiencies. And here Shankaracharya wants to convey 4 types of intellectual deficiencies. The first type of deficiency is an emotional personality overpowering the rational intellectual faculty. Manomaya kosha dominating Vijnanamaya Kosha. Emotion should be there because emotion makes us a human being. Otherwise, we will be rocks. But emotion never should overpower thinking. Same thing happened to Arjuna also. Karpanya dosho bahadas svabhavaha prachhavitvam dharma samudha chetaha. And his intellect was clouded because of kripaya parayavishtaha. Kripaya parayavishtaha, attachment, etc. Similarly, an emotional mind, when it comes to religion or philosophy, it again wants a personal God with whom he or she can relate. An emotional mind wants relationship. That is why in Vedanta they prescribe sannyasa only if you are emotionally strong, only if you can survive without having any relationship. Somebody to tell, I belong to you, you belong to me. Without that, if one has to survive, it requires tremendous emotional strength. A weak mind wants relationship, and since all worldly relationships are a problem, it wants to have a divine relationship in the form of Krishna, Rama or Devi, and it wants to cry and it wants to talk. Again it wants to continue another type of samsara in the form of religion, and even in philosophy. Some of the Vedantic philosophers are such, they write commentaries on Upanishads, still their concept of moksha is that you will go to Vaikuntha and ideally enjoy the Swami Bhritya Bhava. Swami Bhritya Bhava in front of God. Bhagwan's lap you can lie and enjoy. Again their idea of moksha is what? A relationship of love, security. And to that mind, how can you talk about ultimate God as Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Avyayam? Who wants such a God? Without taste, without form. So, one author had written in a magazine, he praised Guruvayurappan, O Guruvayurappa, do not bring that Vedanta which makes all Namarupa Mithya, including your wonderful form. Because what does Vedanta say? All Namarupa is Mithya. That means my Guruvayurappan will be in trouble, therefore he praised Guruvayurappan. That Vedanta should not come near me, do not bring that, because he enjoys that relationship. Lord as mother, Lord as husband, Lord as child, Lord as friend. In fact, we have got literature and literature addressing Lord as nourishing the relationship. Vedanta tells it is wonderful, but that is not the ultimate. And it requires the intellect which is not overpowered by the emotional need for relationship. Gaudapada tells in Kariga that most of the people are afraid of Advaitam, because Advaitam means no scope for relationship. In fact, I am surviving because of one or other relationship. And that is why some people go through agony when certain relationships are broken, either temporarily or permanently because of death, and therefore an unreleased intellect, an intellect which is a hostage of emotion, that is called unreleased. That intellect cannot understand Aham Brahmasmi. And there are many people who say that I love Vedanta for studying, but for all practical purposes I'll keep God and keep loving Him. They love that, and I do not want to be God. I want to be near God. I do not want to be sugar. This is the example given. I want to be the enjoyer of sugar. If I become Krishna, how can I enjoy Krishna? So Shankaracharya says such an emotional, overwhelmed intellect is number one. Then the second is an immature intellect, undeveloped intellect, an immature intellect which does not have sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, sadhana chatushtaya sampatti rahidaha, parikshalogan karmajidan nirvedamayat brahmanaha. Therefore, undeveloped intellect, earlier unreleased intellect, undeveloped intellect is the second. And the third one is intellect, however great it is, can never grasp the teaching if it is not aided by, supported by Shastram. So different objects of knowledge require different instrument to enhance your power of perception. If I want to study microbe, I might have a powerful eyes, but I should be humble enough to make use of a microscope. Is microscope is enough and the eyes are not necessary? Do not ask. Both are necessary. The eyes aided by the microscope. I should not be egoistic and say that I will not use a microscope and I want to see the microbe through the naked eye. If someone says that is foolishness, if I want to see the farthest star, the eye should be aided by a telescope. If I want to see my own eyes, I require eyes, and also I should take the aid of a mirror. Our greatness is not going to decrease because of taking the help of a mirror. In fact, our greatness increases. Intelligence is seeking help when needed. This false greatness will not help. Similarly, just as the eyes require a microscope or telescope or a mirror, self-knowledge requires an intellect enhanced by, boosted by the Shastram. Now, Shankaracharya tells in the Gita, Shastra Acharya Samskritam Antakaranam Jnane Karanam. Shastra Acharya Samskritam Antakaranam Jnane Karanam. A mind which is assisted with Guru Shastra Upadesha alone can know. And if I do not take that help, my intellect is unaided intellect. This is the third deficiency. So, first one, unreleased intellect. Second, undeveloped intellect. Third, unaided intellect. And the fourth and the final is a retarded intellect, which is incapable of growth. A retarded intellect, the difference between the child and the retarded is, in the case of child, potential for growth is there, but it is not yet grown up. But retarded intellect, what we mean is that person is grown up. In some cases, mental asylums and all, person is aged physically, but because of some obstruction, the growth is impossible. Obstructed intellect, undeveloped and unobstructed intellect. Obstruction can be because of various physical, psychological, emotional complexes. Unnatural intellect because of Purvajanma Pratibandha. Thus, an unreleased, undeveloped, unaided, and obstructed intellect cannot gain this knowledge. And for these four varieties of intellect, Shankaracharya uses four words: Stri, Bala, Antha. For that only so much I talked. So, Stri, do not mistake me. These are wide beliefs which may be true. May not be true that women are emotional dominated people. I don't want to take sides, do not mistake. I say that there is a wide belief that emotions are dominant in women. Therefore, that symbol is given. Do not bother about the symbol. You can use any other word. But what Shankaraj wants to communicate is whether the physical body is male body or whether the physical body is female body, we are not focusing on the type of body because knowledge does not take place in the body. But we communicate is the type of mind which is emotion dominated, and such a mind will not like Advaitam because it emphasizes a transpersonal God. And all other philosophies emphasizes a personal God. Sri Balantha Jatopamastvahamiti Pranta Brishamvadinaha. Okay, we'll stop here. We'll see next time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Maya Shakti Vilasa Kalpita Maha Vyamoha